Hello, my name's Joe. This is my first video. What I've wanted to do is start making just maybe a video journal of my thoughts on books and movies. Two things that I really like. Usually in life, I'm going through a huge cinema kick or I'm going through a huge reading kick. Right now it happens to be reading, so we're going to talk about a book today. But I just wanted to get in the habit of kind of recording my thoughts. This isn't really to send out there. This is more of just myself to kind of record my thoughts on books and movies. I don't think I'm going to be doing formal reviews. I don't think I'm qualified for that. These are going to be more just thoughts and reactions to what I'm watching and what I'm reading. As I said, right now I'm on a huge reading kick. I just read a history book. Historically in my life, I have not really liked reading history. I've always wanted to, even at one point when I was at college. I was a history major, never finished it. But I've always liked history. It's just I've never gotten around to reading it until kind of this year. I've decided to change that. Recently, I read Stephen Ambrose's D-Day. It has been sitting on my shelf for a long time, maybe 20 years, I think. And I finally read it. I just finished it this year. And it was that book that made me realize I love collecting books. I own a lot of books, but I haven't read a lot of them. So that was the book that kind of really got me started on this year's big reading kick. After that, I also read Citizen Soldiers by him. I really, really enjoyed that. What I like about those two books is I really like how, they're based on interviews. It's oral histories. Which has, I think, gotten him into some trouble recently. There's some inaccuracies, I believe, especially, I believe, in Band of Brothers, which I have not read. I've seen the show. But he really puts you on the ground. He really brings that experience to life and shows you the horrors of the war. It's not just some removed, detached, sterile presentation of the war. He really puts you kind of in the foxhole with those guys, especially in Citizen Soldiers. And there was battles in the war that I had never learned about. Maybe at some point I'll talk about that book. But anyway, as I was reading Citizen Soldiers, I realized I had never read anything on the Revolutionary War. So that brings me to the book that I just finished last night, or early this morning, and that's Robert Leckie's George Washington's War. I really, really like this book. This is a single volume comprehensive book on the American Revolution. It's titled George Washington's War, but it's about the whole story. One thing I really, really like about this is Leckie does a great job of alternating between biographies of the major players. When a new player is introduced to the story, he gives a one chapter biography that that gives a history of sometimes their ancestors, but their whole life up to the point where they become crucial or critical to the narrative of the revolution. So he'll alternate a biography chapter and then he'll jump back in to the narrative of the revolution. He also does a great job of explaining the battles of the Revolution. Another thing that I really liked about this book that kind of helped me get through it. I mean, this book it's not very long. It's about 660 pages. Not super long, but not short either. One thing that helped get me through this, because I did start to slow down kind of in the second half of it. He writes short chapters, and I really, really like that. At the end of the night, if my goal is tonight, I'm going to read 50 pages, and I get to those 50 pages, I finish a chapter, and if the next chapter is a long chapter, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to go to bed, start it the next night. If it's a short chapter, like these chapters are, I'm more likely to read it, so that way I might get through the book faster. One thing that I did struggle with a little bit, and I don't think this is a problem with the book, because Leckie's writing, I love his writing. He's very funny. I really like the way he tells the story, and he understands that this is a story, and it should be an engaging story. One thing I did struggle with was before each battle, I found myself sometimes becoming lost as to what was going on who the players were in the battle. Sometimes I mentioned he does a really good job of giving biographies of the major players. Sometimes the minor players, he just throws them at you really quickly before an engagement. And sometimes I would just forget in the middle of a paragraph, wait, are these Patriots? Are these Tories? Are they British? I don't know. So that did give me problems. Probably more of a problem with me than Leckie. But as soon as the battle starts, I usually understood what was going on. And he will show a broader picture of the battle, and then he does a really good job of kind of, like Ambrose, maybe to a lesser degree because he doesn't have people to interview like Ambrose had from World War II, but he will put you in the battle, put you on the ground. For example, I think it's the Battle of Kings Mountain. Apologies if I'm getting the name wrong. But that battle was very. I felt like I was there. I felt like I could see the battlefield. I felt like I was right there with the Patriots charging up the hill, the riflemen and the sharpshooters. It was really gripping stuff. If you've never read anything on the Revolution, I highly recommend this. Again, it kind of primes you, and as it primed me, I would like to eventually read maybe multi-volume works. I've got Rick Atkinson's first book in his unfinished trilogy. I think the first book about his story of the Revolution, I think starts in 75, 76, maybe ends in 77. I've got that on my shelf to read. And also, if I ever find a book that just focuses on maybe one aspect of the Revolution, there are many books that just focus on 1775, 1776. I feel like I can appreciate those books more that I've read this, and I know the broader story. I would also like to dive into biographies. This is a genre that I have never liked, but I'd like to get into it this year. And if I pick a founding father, I think I will appreciate it more because of this book, and I know the story of the Revolution. So I recommend it. Other Leckie books that I have, I don't know how quickly I'm going to get to them, but I ordered this. This copy's kind of falling apart on the cover. This is None Died in Vain. This is his single volume comprehensive history of the Civil War. I don't think I'm going to read this anytime soon, but when I have a hankering to learn about the Civil War, this is probably going to be the book that I read. I also have this huge doorstopper of a book. It is Robert Leckie's Delivered from Evil, the Saga of World War II. This thing is massive. I would love to. I'm definitely going to read this one day. And I'd like to return to World War II fairly soon. I think I might, for a single volume history, I might read John Keegan's single volume history of World War II, which I also have sitting on my shelf, before I read this one. I don't know. I may change my mind. But I've got those three. I've also got Robert Leckie's his very short account of his own experiences in the Marine Corps when he served in the Pacific Theater. So I'll read that at some point. Probably, again, after I read one of the single-volume histories of World War II. Anyway, that's all for now. I hope to be making more of these videos. I'm been greatly inspired by the YouTubers, by the booktubers, Steve Donahue and then Michael K. Vaughan. I'm going to be probably participating in Michael K. Vaughan's June on the Range. I've never read a Western. I have a few now on my shelf that I found. I've got some Louis L'Amour, some Zane Grey. I'm excited to dive into a couple of those. And I'm also really excited for Book Trek. And in fact, just getting a head start, this is the book I've just started right now. It's Star Trek Shell Game. It's one of the numbered books of the original series of Star Trek. So getting a head start on Book Trek that I think is taking place in July. But anyway, I hope to be making more videos. Probably do some videos at movies at some point. But that's all for now. Thank you.